class we discuss about the cholinergic transmission. Today we will continue with the remaining portion of this. So discuss this in detail about this cholinesterase, how this acetylcholine is synthesized, released, stored, and then metabolism take place of this acetylcholine. So it is because of this true cholinesterase and pseudo cholinesterase enzyme. Means if we block this cholinesterase enzyme, then here this metabolism will be decreased. If there is a decrease in the metabolism, now we are understanding different approaches. If this metabolism is inhibited, what will be the effect on this acetylcholine? It will be increased. Either we can go for this approach, or what we can do, directly we can use this cholinergic receptor agonist or antagonist. If we are using the agonist, that means we will have this parasympathomimetic effect. If we block these receptors, we will have the parasympatholytic effect. Here, by the uptake, this uptake will decrease the level of this acetylcholine. By the uptake, this will decrease the level of the acetylcholine. And if we block this uptake, if we are using the uptake inhibitor, then also we will be increasing this acetylcholine level in the synapse. So here, these are the different approaches by which we can go for the treatment. Now coming to M2 subclass and M5, they belongs to the similarity of this M3. So major types M1, M2, M3, M4 and M5. First we will discuss about this muscarinic type. The location M1. M1 that is located, generally I used to say like this, neuron, cardiac and glandular. ऊपर से हाथ रखना है. Neuronal, then cardiac पे लाओ and then glandular or smooth muscle. So M1, when we are saying M1, that means the main location. This is regarding the main location. The M1 that is main location is the neural. M2 that is the cardiac, and M3 that is glandular and smooth muscle. So this is regarding the location. Now cellular responses, what kind of the changes we will be observing here. When you stimulate the M1 neuronal receptors, there will be increase in the IP3 and DAG. If you remember IP3 and DAG, that when there is an increase in the IP3 and DAG, you will get the excitatory effect, and there will be increase in the learning and memory. So by this stimulatory effect on this M1, if you stimulate the M1 neuronal receptors, muscarinic receptor, then you will get the increase excitatory effect as well as the increase in the learning and memory. So here from this we can understand that if the substance who is acting as an agonist on the M1 neuronal receptors, M1 muscarinic receptor, that means this may be beneficial in the treatment of the loss of memory. If the patient is having the loss of the memory, here it can be useful to treat it. Here I have taken some examples from this category: acetylcholine, carbachol, bethanechol. Next exercise you are going to do it, that I will tell you at the end of this table. Now let us discuss about the nicotinic part. This nicotinic, that is further divided into NM. Sorry, I forgot about this discussion of the cardiac. M2, if you stimulate, in general, just remember the statement of the cholinergic system. What was that statement? जो मैंने बताया था, पक्के करके, पक्के. what kind of the general effects you will observe?
Excitatory.
Excitatory, except
Heart and
Heart,
blood vessel.
blood vessel.
heart and blood vessels. So here you can observe that in the cardiac muscle, there are M2 muscarinic receptors are located. In cardiac muscle, M2 muscarinic. Generally, पहला जो आपने बोलता था, we were just saying muscarinic receptors are present. Now we will say M2 muscarinic receptors are present in the cardiac muscle. And here, when you stimulate this M2 cardiac muscarinic receptor, there will be decrease in the cyclic AMP and decrease in the calcium level. Just remember, and opposite that, increase in the potassium level. So here what we are getting, decrease cyclic AMP and increase the potassium level. Now remember the pharmacodynamic part. What will be the effect if you decrease the cyclic AMP? Various effect of the cyclic AMP. Major three we have discussed about the cyclic AMP role: energy regulation, then cardiac muscle contraction and relaxation of the smooth muscle. So here, because of that, you will get this inhibitory effect on the cardiac muscle, because there is a decrease in the cyclic AMP. Because of this decrease in the cyclic AMP, you are getting this inhibitory effect on the cardiac muscle. Now third point, that is the M3. Remember the again general statement. In general, it is excitatory. Yes, here we also observe excitatory effect. Now also increase. In general, it is excitatory in nature. So now let us discuss about the M3. M3 that is present in the glandular and smooth muscle. Here in this, when you stimulate the M3 muscarinic receptor, you will get the increase in the IP3. Just remember IP3, increase IP3. That will increase the calcium, intracellular calcium. If you increase the intracellular calcium, this calcium is responsible for increase effect. That is why you will get the increased secretion. Increased secretion, specifically gastric, salivary, smooth muscle contraction will be observed. So here increase secretion in the gastric as well as salivary, and you will have the smooth muscle contraction due to this M3 muscarinic receptor. So this was about the muscarinic receptor. Now nicotinic receptor. This nicotinic receptor that is divided into NM, NN and CNS type. There are three subtypes of this nicotinic receptors. This NM, just pick up the word M. M is the muscular. This NM type that is located in the postsynaptic neuromuscular. M, neuromuscular, that is the skeletal muscle junction. So this is present at postsynaptic neuromuscular junction. If you stimulate this, there will be increase in the sodium and potassium permeability. We will discuss this later. Now N, that is the neuronal postsynaptic NN type nicotinic receptor that is present in the postsynaptic autonomic ganglia, as well as it is also present in the adrenal medulla. And CNS type that is located in the brain as well as presynaptic and postsynaptic. So this is about the location of this NM, NN and CNS type. The stimulation of this nicotinic receptor will increase the sodium and potassium permeability. That is why you are getting this increase excitatory effect. In general, excitatory in nature except heart and blood vessel. So here we will discuss about the heart and blood vessel. This was specifically regarding the heart. Now excitatory effect, that is the skeletal muscle contraction. If you remember the first year anatomy part, contraction, physiology of muscle contraction. So in that release of acetylcholine, this release of acetylcholine was binding on the muscles. At that time we were writing only muscles, so that was the nicotinic muscles and nicotinic receptors on the skeletal muscle, and that was leading to the contraction of the skeletal muscles. This CNS, when we are saying CNS type, the CNS type mainly responsible for the nicotinic effects, mainly responsible for central nicotinic effect, as the nicotine, that is one of the substance of the addiction. So the CNS type is responsible for central effect of this nicotine, one of the agonists of the nicotinic receptor. Example is nicotine. So now what we are going to do now what we you have to do, you have to write a classification. Now, as I instructed you that this chapter we will discuss in a different style. So this different style now we are starting that. Now what you have to do, you have to write the classification. In the classification, you have to mention the agents which are directly acting as well as indirectly acting. And then what you have to do, you have to write down a short note on different agents, keeping in mind this concept which we are discussing about this cholinergic transmission and drug. So just remember that cholinergic transmission, that regarding transmission again, electrical and chemical transmission. At postsynaptic neuron there will be and chemical transmission, neurotransmitter released is the acetylcholine, and drugs, they are supposed to be acting, if we are saying directly acting, they are supposed to be acting on this receptor. If they are indirectly acting, they are supposed to act by this enzyme, metabolizing enzyme, as well as either it will be by the uptake. So let us see a broad classification of this agent, this cholinomimetic. Now pick up the word mimetic. Mimetic means they are going to mimic the action of this cholinergic system or parasympathetic system. That is why they are known to be as a cholinomimetic or also as a parasympathomimetic. When it blocks, then it will be considered as a parasympatholytic in the next portion, which we will discuss later. But here, first we will discuss about this mimetic agents. So either there will be two categories. The first one, either it is a directly acting or indirectly acting. So directly acting, like muscarinic receptor agonist. Here the muscarinic receptor agonist example. Don't be confused here in these two words. What is the difference? Directly acting and indirectly acting. Just name. Here these are known as the choline esters. Don't be confused with this. Here also the similar word is there, but it is esterase. Esterase is metabolizing enzyme, choline esterase, while these are the choline esters. The example is the acetylcholine, carbachol, bethanychol, methacholine. They are the choline esters who are directly acting. They are the muscarinic receptor agonist. They are receptor agonist. Then comes the natural alkaloid. Natural alkaloid example are muscarine, arecholine, pilocarpine. These are the some examples I am discussing over here. What you have to do, you have to prepare this entire classification. You have to write down this classification from the book. Different books, not book, right? Classification. Like this, you can prepare the classification directly acting as well as indirectly acting, muscarinic as well as, then when broadly you are writing parasympathomimetic, then muscarinic as well as nicotinic. Here the directly acting. Now discuss about the choline esterase. which belongs to the indirectly acting. The first one, reversible. There are two categories. One is the reversible as well as another is the irreversible. This cholinesterase inhibitors, they are also known as a anticholinesterase. Anticholinesterase. Don't confuse or don't write it like this, that anticholinesterase inhibitor. It is wrong. If you are writing like this, anticholinesterase inhibitor, either say it as a cholinesterase inhibitor esterases, they are known as a parasympatholytic. Am I correct or wrong? Or is this statement? Just comment on it. Anticholinesterases are parasympatholytic agents. I am waiting for your response. If you are providing response, then it is good. Otherwise, I will continue. Sally?
Sir, it's correct.
It's correct. Anticholinesterase agents, they are parasympatholytic. How many of you agree with Sally?
Parasympathomimetic.
तो it is parasympathomimetic. काफी बारी मिस्टेक होती है बिकॉज यहाँ पे वर्ड लगता है एंटी और अपने इतना ही देखते कोलिन, because this anticholinesterase, it is inhibiting the cholinesterase enzyme, and as we remember that this cholinesterase enzyme is responsible for metabolism. If metabolism take place, अगर metabolism होता है तो there will be decrease in acetylcholine level. If we block this metabolizing enzyme, that means what will be effect? It will be increase the acetylcholine level, and that is why these agents are known as parasympathomimetic. So don't be confused with this word anti. So these are also belongs to the parasympathomimetic. So I'm just erasing this part to avoid the confusion over here. So this anticholinesterase agents, they are indirectly acting parasympathomimetic. Now two categories, one is the reversible and another is the irreversible. When you do the practicals of the pharmacology, you will have this exposure to this physostigmine as well as acetylcholine and other agents. Here we are discussing the theory part. The reversible examples, they are the physostigmine, neostigmine. Here just observe in the suffix there is a stigmine. Physostigmine, neostigmine, pyridostigmine. Adrophonium, rivastigmine as well as donazepam. Just write down this classification which will help you to prepare the further classification. And in the irreversible part, there are major organophosphorus compound. कोई को आइडिया है किसी को दिस organophosphorus compound कहाँ पे यूज होते हैं?
नो सर.
नो. कोई एग्रीकल्चर साइड से है? है कोई एग्रीकल्चर साइड से? पेस्टिसाइड सुना हुआ है?
Yes, sir.
So this pesticides, they are containing or they are belongs to this organophosphorus compound. Here I have taken this example, this parathion, malathion, diaflows, ecothiopate, they are the organophosphorus compound. इसीलिए पेस्टिसाइड्स फार्मर्स जो यूज करते हैं, फार्मर्स पे मैक्सिमम केसेस आपको देखने मिलेंगे दैट इज ऑफ दिस ऑर्गेनोफॉस्फोरस पॉइजनिंग, ऑर्गेनोफॉस्फोरस पॉइजनिंग। अगर ये पेस्टिसाइड का एक्सपोजर ओवर एक्सपोजर हुआ देन देयर विल बी रिजल्ट इनटू द ऑर्गेनोफॉस्फोरस पॉइजनिंग। Just correct this word by mistake. I forgot to type the D. Atrophonium. It is the atrophonium. So this is the directly acting as well as indirectly acting parasympathomimetic. Any question till this?
No, sir.
Okay, so we'll continue this. Now, pharmacological actions. Now, what will be the broad pharmacological actions? Just remember that word regarding this cholinergic. What was the word which we have to remember?
पक्के,
पक्के। क्या है पक्के में? Action regarding pharmacological effects.
excitatory,
In general,
excitatory,
except
heart and
Heart
blood,
and blood vessels.
तो हार्ट रेट बढ़ेगा कम होगा?
कम होगा।
Decrease. So we will have the negative ionotropic as well as negative chronotropic effect. What will be the effect on the eye? Just remember that example of this sympathetic nervous system which I gave, like facing a tiger or if you are crossing a road.
constriction,
In this or in adrenergic?
this one,
In this one. So here parasympathomimetic, we will have this constriction. That constriction of pupil is known as.
Meiosis.
So here we are supposed to have this meiosis effect, right? What about the secretion?
increase,
Again, repeat that statement. Parasympathetic pakke in general.
excitatory,
हाँ, तो यहाँ पे secretion बढ़ेंगे कम हो गए?
बढ़ेंगे सर।
So increase, right? So increase secretion. Now let's see which are the effects. So first pharmacological actions on the cardiovascular system, heart. We will again repeat that statement. Pakke in general excitatory in nature except heart and blood vessels. So heart and blood vessel पे अपने को यहाँ पे decrease effect होनी मिलनी चाहिए, right? So let us see. The effect of this cholinomimic, they are similar to those of vagal stimulation. Now, vagus nerve. Vagus nerve is 10th cranial nerve. It is 10th cranial nerve. This 10th cranial nerve, vagus nerve, it is mixed in nature. Sympathetic as well as parasympathetic. But dominant effect is of the parasympathetic nervous system. So, because of that, we are supposed to get decrease or negative effect on the heart. So it is similar to those of the following of the vagus nerve stimulation. Now remember that in heart, what kind of the muscarinic receptor are present in the heart?
M2.
M2. So just for your brush up, this M2 receptor, they are present in the heart. So here the muscarinic receptors, stimulation of the muscarinic receptor that open the potassium channel, and because of this, just remember potassium जब बढ़ता है ऊपर तब negative effect मिलेगी, कैल्शियम जब बढ़ता है तब stimulatory effect मिलेगी. So here this opening of the potassium channel that decreases the heart rate. Decrease rate we are denoting it as a chronotropic rate for chrono. And we will have the negative effect, that is the negative ionotropic or decrease in force of contraction. This decrease Third effect, that is the rate of conduction is also decrease, and that is why we are getting this negative. Just correct is that as a dromotropic effect, negative dromotropic effect. On the blood vessel, that in the blood vessel there is a present M3 receptor. Just remember that the location of M3 receptor. Just a minute, please wait. Sorry for the interruption. We were discussing about the M3. So location M3, that is in the glandular or smooth muscle. So what kind of the effect we are expecting here? The M3 receptors in the blood vessels. The first, regarding the location M3, here we are discussing first about the blood vessel. Next we are going to discuss about the smooth muscle, that is in the next slide. So here first one, this M3 in the blood vessels, how it is producing the vasodilation. This M3 that is going to release the endothelial derived relaxation factor, EDRF, endothelial dependent relaxing factor, or it is also known as an endothelial derived relaxing factor. Both are correct. So EDRF, and because of that it is producing a vasodilation, and because of this vasodilation you will get the fall in blood pressure, decrease in blood pressure. So this is, you can also correlate with this, that two effects are there. The one that is decrease in force of contraction, that is also going to decrease in cardiac output, as well as here also we are getting the fall in blood pressure. So here the effects on the heart, the one that is the negative chronotropic, then negative ionotropic, and third one negative dromotropic. Don't be confused with the chrono. Here it is dromotropic, right? So negative ionotropic, negative chronotropic, as well as negative dromotropic. Dromo word that is used for the conduction, regarding the conduction. While here chrono, not mo, chrono. Here chrono, that is related to the rate. So this is related to the conduction. And when the conduction is discussing, at that time it is used as a dromotropic word. So here just an image, that acetylcholine that is on the M3 receptor, that is going to increase the cyclic GMP, and that cyclic GMP will produce the vasodilation as well as smooth muscle relaxation by this cyclic GMP. Here in this smooth muscle, this M3 receptor, they produce the bronchoconstriction, and it is going to increase the secretion in the respiratory system, and that is why this parasympathomimetic agent. Parasympathomimetic agent. They can precipitate the asthmatic attack. Precipitation of the attack of the bronchial asthma because of this mechanism, bronchoconstriction, as well as it is also going to increase the secretion. In addition, it is also stimulating the salivation as well as the acid secretion, gastric acid secretion. It is also going to increase the peristalsis. GI motility is also increased. That is why many patients, they are having this abdominal cramps, abdominal cramp, as well as because of this peristalsis movement, it will lead to the evacuation of bowel. Regarding urinary, just remember that table. I think I have shown you a table of this parasympathomimetic, this parasympathetic stimulation. Here, it will cause the release of the urine. Release of the urine is known as a micturition. Now, this micturition reflex, just remember the first year anatomy, micturition reflex. The micturition is because of that. Here, what happened, that detrusor muscle, detrusor का meaning होता है that push down. This detrusor muscles contraction, as well as it will relax the trigon, relaxation of the trigon and external sphincter. There are two internal and external urethral sphincter. So here, relaxation of the external sphincter as well as detrusor muscle contract. So contraction of the detrusor muscle. Don't confuse that. Here we are discussing that parasympathomimetic और यहाँ पे कुछ रिलैक्सेशन की वजह से इफेक्ट होगा. यहाँ पे इफेक्ट जो मिल रहा है that is because of the contraction, excitatory contraction of this detrusor muscle contraction that will push down the urine, and relaxation of this trigon as well as external urethral sphincter that will lead to the urine output, and that is why it result into the micturition. Micturition means release of urine. Micturition, release of urine. Regarding this gland, as we know that in general it is excitatory in nature, so there will be a stimulation of the M3. Again, regarding the distribution, we have written that M3 that is present in the glandular as well as smooth muscle. So here, its stimulation of this M3 in glandular as well as some of the M2 receptors are also present in the gland. They are going to increase the sweating, salivary and lacrimal secretion. So increase the sweating, salivary and lacrimal, that is because of this. But the secretion of milk and bile is not affected. This is about the effects on the gland. Now effect on the eye. We already discussed this meiosis part. Because of the stimulation of the parasympathomimetic or sympathetic, parasympathetic, cholinergic, contraction of the iris sphincter, and because of this contraction of the iris sphincter, decrease in the diameter, and decrease in the diameter will result into the meiosis. So because of this contraction, it result into the meiosis. Now, regarding the another part, that these are the ciliary muscles, which are colored in the yellow. Then in the blue, they are the suspensory ligament. अब ये क्या करता है suspensory ligament? That hold up the lens. This is the lens. So when you stimulate this parasympathetic, or when we are giving the parasympathomimetic agent, so because of that, it will cause the contraction of the ciliary muscle. The ciliary muscles will be contracted, and This reduces the tension on this suspensory ligaments. They are the ligament joining. This reduces the tension on this suspensory ligament, and because of that, it will cause this rounding of the lens, because this relaxes or reduces the tension. If this reduces the tension or relaxation take place, this lens will be round up. Sorry for this diagram. This round up because of this relaxation, and because of that rounding up of the lens, it is focusing for the near vision. So that is why this lens round up and focus for the near vision. This is known as accommodation of the vision. Accommodation of the vision, that is for the near vision. As well as similarly in opposite direction, opposite phenomena, we are the lens is focusing for the far vision. That is why we can clearly observe or see the near object as well as the far object because of this phenomenon. So here we are discussing about this near vision. So the one that is the meiosis, second, that accommodation of the focal length for the near vision. Third one, that is increase the aqueous humor outflow. Aqueous humor, this is the aqueous chamber, it allowing the outflow of this aqueous humor, and that is why it reduces the intraocular pressure. Intraocular pressure that can be reduced, and that is why if you are aware that glaucoma pronunciation, glaucoma, that is one of the disease that is related to the increased intraocular pressure, that is also denoted as a IOP, intraocular pressure. And if you want to treat it, that means here what we will do, we will be using the parasympathomimetic agent. Mimetic agent from this category, they can be useful because of this mechanism, because they will be able to reduce this intraocular pressure, and that is why it is useful in the glaucoma. This is the effect on the eye. Now effect on the nicotinic, this we discuss about the muscarinic effects. Now we will discuss about the nicotinic effects. Nicotinic effect of this parasympathomimetic class, there are both in the brain, muscarinic as well as the nicotinic receptors. So as we know that CNS, that is having the M1 muscarinic receptor, here in the brain they are producing the tremor, hypothermia, and increased locomotor activity. As well as you will be surprised, or it is the fact that it is also helpful in the cognition. It is responsible for cognition. Means here from this we can understand that stimulation of this receptors, they can be useful in the treatment of the dementia. Dementia जिसको बोलते हैं loss of memory, जहाँ पे memory कम हो रही है, loss of memory, decrease in the memory. In this case, the mimetic agent, they can be beneficial because they can improve the cognition. Cognition जिसको बोलते हैं memory. So it can be helpful in the treatment of the dementia. Then comes the nicotinic receptors. The second part is the ganglia point. Initially it is producing the depolarization. So initial depolarization, that is because of this nicotinic cholinergic receptors. But in case of high dose, when there is a high dose, that is stimulating both sympathetic as well as the parasympathetic. Now don't be confused that why we are discussing over here. Here this when you are stimulating this parasympathetic nervous system, as we know that nicotinic axons, or here we are discussing about the ganglia specifically. Which neurotransmitter is released at the ganglia? Just remember that table or that image I have shown you. At the ganglia, the neurotransmitter is released is the acetylcholine in both. So in both, the acetylcholine is released. So if you block or if you stimulate the if you stimulate the ganglia, then what is expected over here? If you target the ganglia, means both sympathetic as well as parasympathetic are affected. So in high dose, it is causing the stimulation of both sympathetic as well as parasympathetic. That is why it is resulting into the tachycardia and increase in blood pressure. Now this increase in blood pressure, tachycardia means tachy word use hota hai, that is for increase, and when you use the word brady, means it is related to the decrease. So brady word use hota hai, that is for the decrease. This is for the rate, decrease in rate and increase in rate. So here it is resulting to the increase, tachycardia, as well as increase in blood pressure. This is not because of this cholinergic effect. It is because of this sympathetic stimulation. So when you stimulate the ganglia, now don't confuse this action with this. What is the difference in this and the first one here? Effect on this heart as well as blood vessel. What is the difference? Anyone? What is the major difference over here? Yes, Mannan?
સર આમાં ઇન્ક્રીઝ થાય છે અને ઓલા આગળવાળામાં ડિક્રીઝ ઇન હાર્ટબીટ હતું.
What is the difference because of the why it is so?
Sir, यहाँ पे
Sir,
sympathetic
nicotinic receptor.
Good. So Hetvi, here we are blocking this nicotine, or not blocking. Here we are stimulating this nicotinic receptor. So target over here is the nicotinic receptor, while in earlier it was the target that was the muscarinic receptor. This effect is because of this muscarinic effect. So here we are getting this effect because of the muscarinic receptor, while here it is because of the nicotinic action. So nicotinic action here, it is also at the ganglia in both sympathetic as well as the parasympathetic. Acetylcholine is the neurotransmitter. So if you stimulate this ganglia, means you will have this effect in both sympathetic as well as parasympathetic. That is why here this increase in blood pressure as well as tachycardia, that is due to sympathetic stimulation. Now last part on the skeletal muscle, as we know that nicotinic receptors are present in the skeletal muscle. Just go back to the table that nicotinic receptors are present in the skeletal muscle. So here in the skeletal muscle, because of these nicotinic receptors, that opens the channel and it will increase the permeability, which will lead to the depolarization, and as we know that depolarization will lead to the contraction. Is that clear? So this was about the pharmacological action of the parasympathomimetic or cholinomimetic. Now what you have to do, just remember this, that you have to do this exercise. In the next class, we are going to discuss individual agent, but this will be from your side, not from my side. You have to write down a short note of individual agent. હવે તમારે શું કરવાનું કે એક એક એજન્ટ પકડો અને એની શોર્ટ નોટ આ ફોર્મમાં લખો. Mechanism of action, then pharmacological action, then pharmacokinetic, then therapeutic uses as well as adverse effect. So you just pick up any agent and just go through these hints which I have provided you. You can easily remember. Somewhere I have also pointed out the uses like that where it can be useful. Like here, I mentioned you that it can be useful in dementia. Somewhere I mentioned that intraocular pressure related. So like that, you just remember these key points and you can write down short note on any agent. What you have to do, you have to remember this classification, where it belongs. Now, if you know this cholinomimetic or parasympathomimetic, you can easily write a note on the parasympatholytic also. But first, you have to remember this parasympathomimetic, and you have to remember this classification. So in the next class, you have to be prepared with this classification and short note on any three agents, any three agent of your choice. So this is the end of today's class. The remaining point we will discuss in next class, and next class be careful, that will be from your side, and you can ask the questions also if any. So thank you all. Now attendance link is open, so you can start filling the responses.